Hello, my name is Christopher Zarco, and I built a RAG chatbot focusing on the computer laws in the state of Texas. I recently finished Datacamp's career track AI engineering for developers. Because I finished, I wanted to build a project based on what I've learned, and you'll see that later on in this video. I decided to build this project because I have a really big interest in cybersecurity, specifically hacking, so I wanted to learn about the computer laws in the state of Texas, as well as what it's really like to build a RAG system. That's it for the introduction. Now let's go look at the code. Okay, hey guys, so we're in my actual project now. Let's take a look. This is where the whole project started, by getting data. I got the data from this chapter within the Texas Penal Code under Title 7 called Computer Crimes, and in this chapter we can see all the crimes that you can commit with computers and the types of penalties you can get from these crimes. And so what I did, I had AI create a parsing script that would be able to parse and basically scrape this whole document for specific pieces of text that I was going to use as my metadata and embeddings for my Pinecone database that I'll show you in a little bit. Anyways, yes, this is how I parsed the data. Well, more like how AI parsed the data. Anyways, so this is where we get the data. We run the function, and right below it we process the data, and this is where I'm about to upstart all the data into the Pinecone database. Right below that you can see how I calculated upstart cost. Moving on from this section, let's move into the logging section. Do not have that many logs, only the cost per query log, which shows all of the cost, all of the tokens, and a breakdown of how much the LLM spends and how much the database costs per query. Yeah. Right below the log section we have the prompts, and in the prompts I have few shot prompts where I have 3 different levels of difficulty. The first one is super easy. The second one is also pretty easy, but the third one is an edge case where I test the model's limits of its understanding of the data in the database. In the system prompt, it's just a system prompt telling my system how to act, how to respond, and how lengthy of an answer it should give to the query. Yes. Below that we have the test set. You can see how it has a query, expected context. This is expected context and expected output. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is how I version controlled my prompts. So if we go here to the get messages function inside of my utils folder, I had read a bunch of documentation that shows me how I can version my prompts using weights and biases, and that's exactly what I did right here with prompt 1 equals weave messages prompt. I turned that into a prompt that weights and biases can receive, and it turns that prompt and it publishes it to my, let me show y'all. And it publishes that prompt to my assets of this project. And currently it's at version 0, being the first version. I haven't iterated on it since the beginning of this project. And that's how I version controlled my prompts. Yeah. So in my utils folder, you can see how I have just a bunch of Py scripts, but all of these are just functions that I use to call throughout my main, my data, but the main 3 functions that you should keep an eye out for in this specific folder are the answer function, the prompt builder with context function, and the retrieve function, as these 3 functions are pillar to creating my RAG system inside of ... my main function. Here is how I ran my test set. So I have a for loop that goes through the first 5 questions of my test set. I get the docs, sources, the costs, and the tokens from retrieve, more costs, more tokens from the prompt with context builder, and the output tokens, output costs from the answer function. All of these are logged to my cost per query log here. So every time I run my main script, all of it gets logged. And right after all of it gets logged, I begin to use RAG for evaluations here. So what I did was I appended query to the question section of the dictionary, data samples, answer output. The context is just the docs that I pulled from the database. And the ground truth, which is the expected output from the actual data set. And so here you can see me actually evaluating score equals evaluate, faithfulness, answer correctness. This is me just evaluating. But whenever we go to here, we can see the cost, the latency. But here in this RAGis evaluation, we can see how, it's all good at first, faithfulness 0. And then here we can see answer correctness is null for all of them. Looking at my manual RAG evaluation scores, all of them are null as well. They do not come up with a answer correctness. Only the faithfulness metric, which, yeah. And yes, that's basically how my main script works. All it is just a loop of my RAG functions being ran across my test set to evaluate the score of my system, which the first time it was a 60%. It's just a vibe evaluation of 60%. Not that good, especially for the first 5 questions, which the first 5 questions of my test set are super easy. So this system is honestly very bad, and this is just to help us keep going, okay? Another really important thing that I want to talk about is how even though I stopped in the evaluation phase, I learned a new way of how to evaluate. Using RAGis and weights and biases, I've learned that I can combine the two to create an even more sophisticated, more descriptive evaluation of my system. As we had seen through my traces, here we can trace back my evaluation and and the scores that I've got. Here we can see the answer correctness, faithfulness. You can obviously add more metrics to it, the metrics that you really want to focus on. And not even that, but weights and biases also tracks the cost, the time, the size, and the amount of tokens it takes for each individual call of your RAG functions. For me, it was my retrieve, answer, and prompt with context builder functions that I needed to keep track of, as these use AI APIs that cost money. Okay, and now that I have showed y'all everything, let me run this. Let's hope it works. Look. Oh wow, wait, look. Okay, bet. So yes, we definitely saw how this one changed. Anyways, yes, it works. It can be evaluated. Let's just double check one time to see if this one got evaluated. This one says 7 days ago. Let's see if it got evaluated on here. Yes. Okay, bet. So let's compare the evaluation from right now to 7 days ago. So faithfulness scores 2.5, 0, 1, 0.33, 0.5. Okay. 2.5, 0, 0.66, 0.30. And yeah, that's my project. Please leave a comment down below how I can improve my project presentation skills, and I'll see you in the next part. So yeah, as you can see in this project, I learned a lot from web scraping, logging, to prompt versioning, and monitoring my system during development, etc. But also, during this project, I made a lot of mistakes. And my point is, while I reached my goal of building a system with a vibe evaluation of 60%, I didn't build a system fully capable of being deployed. I stopped building my system during the evaluation phase because I found this other video which showed me how a real AI end-to-end system is built, not how I think it is built. The video is called Building a End-to-End Gen AI System in 3 Hours, created by Dave Ebler, who has 10 years of experience in AI engineering. And in his video, you can see how he uses industry standards to build a complete end-to-end system from ideation to deployment. He leverages AI coding tools. You can see his thought process behind making architectural decisions and much more that I do not know, that I still need to learn, as I am still a beginner, right? Looking at my current system, I'm nowhere near this level of engineering. So maybe by watching the video and building a system similar to the one shown in the video, right next to it, I can build a solid foundation to what a real end-to-end deployable system looks like and how it's built. Anyways, yes, that's where I will go from here, as well as learning Python libraries for EDA and actually doing some actual EDA projects. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Leave some feedback in the comments, please. I would really love to hear how I can improve on my system and how I can improve on just like AI engineering in general. Please share this with an AI engineer, as I'm currently looking for mentorship. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you have a nice day. Goodbye.